Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 5:06. Good morning. It's a Wednesday. It's like we're right on the bubble between 5:06 and 5:07. That was 5:07. See, I just I dragged it out because I didn't know what to say because it wasn't quite 7. And I want to do my best to be accurate. Unlike Jake Tapper, it's 5:07. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in on this Tuesday in your nation's capital. It's O'Connor and Company. And happy Veterans Day to all who served, to those family members of those who served. Yeah, you're vets too. You went through it. We're going to spend a lot of this morning honoring you, all of you, and celebrating your service to our great country. 6:35, we'll speak with Amber Karen from Wreaths Across America because it's that time. 7:05, Garrett Exner from Veterans on Duty. 7:35, Susan Ferriccio gives us the latest on the shutdown and when the House will be back in order. 8:05, our buddy Jonathan Cotton from Good Feet Store on Veterans Day and what he has done his whole career supporting our vets. And then at 8:35, we've got Dr. Sarah Brenner. Now, she's the Principal Deputy Commissioner for Preventative Medicine at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. That would be your FDA. Talk about a big announcement from HHS on hormone replacement therapy. That's right. Hormone replacement therapy.
I've got a lot to say.
Which brings Julie Gunlock to the table. Speaking of which, here's Julie Gunlock.
And speaking of one big raw hormone, there's Julie Gunlock.
I was over the weekend. I went and visited EJ and Christian and my son-in-law Jonathan. As I often do over in Southern California. And I get some time. I think it's an open secret that I have a good relationship with my ex-wife.
Yeah.
And, I cannot remember what we were talking about. We got into this whole conversation about supplements. You know, we're both of a certain age where, you know, we've discovered a lot of supplements and a lot of natural products that we use to just sort of help with various things in our lives, our joints, our cartilage, our collagen, our inflammation, whatever it is. I think most people our age are doing that, Julie. Are you looking at? I
do not do any supplements. I don't believe in them.
So anyway, my ex-wife.
I also don't believe in vitamins. It's all baloney.
My ex-wife and I were having this conversation, and she mentioned something that she was taking. Can't remember what it is. And I said, "Oh," she goes, "Has Meredith been taking this? I really recommend it." And I said, "Oh, you know what? We were talking about it, but she wanted to research it a little bit more because she's concerned about, you know, some of the side effects and how it might affect her cycle and such." And my ex-wife looked at me and she goes, "Oh yeah, well that's not a problem for me." It's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. Way to go, Larry.
Well, that's why she's an ex.
Oh, that is
I'm
not.
Kidding.
Stop
I'm
it.
joking. But it's a good recognition that I should, you know, be sensitive to such things. Men don't think about that. Men don't.
Well,
no.
Yeah.
Unless
it's. And most women are fine with, you know, we're getting older. It's not the end of the world. I mean, in our current culture, where it's so funny. At one point, I saw on social media at some point, I saw a picture of the Golden Girls. Remember the Golden Girls, right?
Yeah.
And it was
B. Arthur and Rue McClanahan and Betty White.
Yeah, they were like, Rue McClanahan was in her 40s when she did that show. And it's like the image of older women in the 80s, right? Yeah, and I mean, my grandmother, right? She would, and my husband's grandmother, they would go to the salon, they get their hair set, and it'd last them all week, right? And they all had that short white hair that would be put in curlers, and they'd sort of fluff it up each morning. So the image of older women in the 80s, and then Kim Kardashian's yucky mother, I don't know what her name is,
Jenner,
Kris Jenner. She had her 70th birthday, and that woman. Now, look, she's all plastic.
Yeah,
okay, everything's been replaced. Yeah. Okay, I get it. We live in the Twilight Zone, right? But, but she looks younger than her daughters, and who are also all plastic and fillers and.
It is weird, though, to see the perspective from generation to generation. It's funny. For some reason, I went down to, you know how you go down a weird YouTube rabbit hole and videos get recommended and you're like, okay, I'm 10 videos in and I have no idea where I started, but now I'm at this video and this.
Right.
And it all fascinates you. It's like YouTube's smart. They know what they're doing. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you'll like this, and before you know it, you're like, and I landed on a video of the anniversary. It's I guess it was 1978 when Pope John Paul II was elected Pope. And it's like for us, the Pope is always an old guy, right? It's like, oh, there's an old the Pope is an old man. Pope is supposed to be an old man.
Yeah.
And I was watching this video, and Pope John Paul II was an old man, right? Do you know how old he was when he was elected Pope?
I don't.
58. Oh. I know. That's what I thought.
Oh, good God.
And I had to like pause the video and like do a quick search. It's like, did Harry Reasoner get this wrong on CBS in his live coverage? And it's true. He was 58 years old when he was elected Pope. And I was like, wow, that's not so far off from my age.
If I think too much, Larry, about things, like when you're into your 50s,
yeah,
and I think
once you hit 50, it's like, oh gosh.
No, but I think people actually die in their 70s, like they do, right? And I'm like, does that mean there's only? I mean, honestly, I'm not even going to say it. I can get myself a little worked up and a little weirded out.
And this is why I'm taking supplements. See there?
You do not need.
Telling you, longevity is the key. You can look into longevity. There's a lot of research.
There's nothing like a beet in the morning. Okay.
A lot of research into longevity. Some beet juice, some kimchi, some probiotics. I'm all over it. Oh, the good little bugs in my gut right now. Eating all the bad bugs. It's good stuff. Anyway, speaking of hormone therapy, Julie Gunlock is here. And Robert Kennedy Jr., who looks damn good for his age, by the way. He's older than the Pope. Yesterday, he made the announcement on
steroids.
Modifications to the packaging on hormone.
He does look great.
Replacement. Here, take a listen.
For more than 2 decades, the American medical establishment turns its back on women. Millions of women were told to fear the very therapy that could have given them strength, peace, and dignity through one of life's most difficult transitions, menopause. That ends today. The FDA is initiating the removal of a broad black box warnings from hormone replacement therapy products for menopause.
All right, so can you help me out on this? Because I'm ignorant on the issue, and I'll be smarter by the time we have Dr. Sarah Brenner from the FDA joining us at 8:35, but not too smart, because that's why I ask questions to guests. That's my secret. I don't know things. What has this been, these warnings that have been on hormone replacement? Because I just assumed hormone replacement was sort of a standard therapy for women who were having issues with...
I have not read up enough on this, but I can give you a sort of a little bit of information. Yeah. Basically, there were some studies. There's always a study. There's always multiple studies. And there were some studies that came out and said that hormone replacement therapy is risky, and it can cause cancers, and it can cause heart disease and other health issues. And because of that, there was this sort of hysteria. We've seen this with other things. We've seen this, for instance, with, eggs. The whole cholesterol. Yeah, my dad's favorite. The whole cholesterol issue. There's been other sort of moments of hysteria where the medical community decides, okay, this, handful of studies shows this, then we're just going to tell women not to do it, or tell a certain population not to eat this or not to do this. We've seen this with coffee. We've seen this with luncheon meat. We've seen this. I mean, it's just exhausting when you study these things. I actually once was on a panel called Oops, We Got It Wrong. Literally, the panel was called Oops, We Got It Wrong. And it was about all of these sort of medical scares that are later reversed. And look, I think that there is, and again, I haven't read this entirely, but I think basically today the idea is, okay, there were some studies, but it's a risk analysis, right? You've got to decide, okay, yes, there might be a risk of these things, but what are the benefits of these treatments for women?
And the government putting their thumb on the scale with these giant scary warnings isn't helping. And and this kind of cuts against the grain, doesn't it? Because oftentimes Kennedy is accused of putting too many red flags and warnings up on potential pharmaceutical solutions to things. Unless there's something more to that, well, hold your thought. There may be more to this. I just want to make sure, and we're going to try to throw out as much of this information as possible, because I think there are people in this audience who are either focused on the issue of hormone replacement based on a certain time in their life, or there's a woman in their life who is facing that issue.
Yes.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
We're challenging outdated thinking and recommitting to evidence-based medicine that empowers rather than restricts. When prescribed responsibly and started early, hormone replacement therapy transforms the lives of women. Hormone replacement therapy has been found to reduce the risks of cardiovascular disease and mortality by as much as 50%. Alzheimer's disease by 35%, bone fractures by 50 to 60%, as well as reducing cognitive decline and all-cause mortality. In other words, extending the lives for as much as 10 years.
Hormone replacement therapy, which often involves, for women, the supplemental replacement of estrogen or progesterone, and then for men, testosterone. And testosterone replacement is a big deal for men's health, I know, at a certain age.
Yeah.
What's weird to me is that the medical industry doesn't seem to hesitate when these...
It's a 13-year-old?
When you want to give these hormones to an 8-year-old or something to sort of change them.
If you're a 50-something-year-old woman, you just have to go in and say you identify as a 13-year-old and you want these...
There you go.
Hormones. I will say, though, look, these studies that came out that were sort of saying these are, hormone replacement therapy is very dangerous. There's this tendency in the scientific community to be like, okay, science is settled, done, right? Yeah. And then they move on. And it always seemed to be on the side of, extreme caution against a medical intervention. And that's a real problem. That is a real and this is why I know people are concerned. Some people are concerned about RFK, but he is a breath of fresh air into this very stodgy industry, the sort of public health industry, which again has this habit of moving on from things, saying, okay, we've got the science is settled, and clearly additional studies came out saying no, actually it's the opposite. Yeah. As our executive producer just was talking about during the weather, she was saying that some of the studies have actually shown if you're put on hormone replacement therapy before in perimenopause, that means before you go into menopause, and it can actually reduce your risk of some of these deadly conditions like heart disease. And RFK just said that in the announcement. So this is a very good news for women, which I'm sure, of course, the media will talk about this as if it's going to be a big disaster.
No, they're a quack and they're unqualified. Somebody said, who was it? Hakeem Jeffries, who said Dr. Oz is supremely unqualified. It's like say what you will about Dr. Oz, but I mean, talk about qualifications to have a job in the government health industry or government health policy protocols.
Industry,
So here's that's the politics of this is something that's going to be sort of jarring to people's presuppositions, because I thought that the liberal sort of rule book on these things is that women's health is always undervalued, and that women are taken for granted by the health industry, and that they are not their benefits are not taken into account. And it sounds like that's exactly what Kennedy and HHS is doing here, in terms of giving more freedom, more choice, and not putting the thumb on the scale to just disregard, oh, well, you might get breast cancer, so you shouldn't take this. Well, wait a second. There seems to be a lot more to this than just that one write-off study, as you just said, and it's taking into account some very legitimate suffering that women have to go through.
Yes.
When they go through menopause, and they could use this relief from hormone replacement.
There's also been a trend recently, in this, I would say, the last couple decades, of natural is better. Always, and less intervention is better. And I see that. Look, I understand the whole idea behind that, but But natural isn't always better. You know what's natural? Botulism, okay? You know what's natural? Cyanide, okay? These things are totally natural things. They're not good for you, okay? Don't take them, right? And and so sometimes things that happen in the body are really disruptive, are really difficult, are really painful. And, you know, you could say, you know, God gives the ability to sort of, you know, defeat nature in many ways and roll some of this stuff back. Why are you laughing so much?
We'll get into this more at 8:35 with Dr. Sarah Brenner from the FDA to talk about the details of the new ruling on hormone replacement. If anyone asks me, so what's it like to host with Julie Gunlock? What's she like? I said, I'll give you a perfect example. You're talking about, foods and drugs and therapies and things. And she goes, oh, yeah, everyone likes all natural. And all natural, great. You know what's natural? Botulism's natural. Cyanide, that's natural. That's Julie Gunlock, ladies and gentlemen. And God bless her. We love her. It's 5:23.
Making sense of your world.
Talk radio is where I get all of my information.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Coming up, more on the shutdown. Keep it here, 5:30.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
5:36 on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here to our Tuesday morning rundown of all that ails you, and a little bit of a pick-me-up, too, on this Veterans Day as we thank the men and women who have worn the uniform and have been prepared to sacrifice everything for our country and for our children. Coming up at 6:35, Amber Karen from Wreaths Across America. 7:05, Garrett Exner, Veterans on Duty. At 7:35, Susan Ferriccio from the Washington Times. 8:05, Jonathan Cotton, good feed store, who does a hell of a lot for our military. And then at 8:35, Dr. Sarah Brenner, FDA, talk about that hormone replacement therapy. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. I love that I say hormone replacement therapy all morning long, right before I introduce Julie Gunlock.
Good God.
I'm sorry.
It's going to be a long morning.
Speaking of that, here's Julie. It is a good point, though, just to tie that up, how there's never any hesitation about prescribing these very dangerous drugs to children who these drugs were never designed for in the first place.
That's right. That's right.
So that they can aid their transition, as it were, for what did they call it? Gender-affirming therapy. But for female affirming therapy, going through some radical shifts with hormone depletion, biological cycles and such. No. We know better than you, Missy.
That's
you
right.
sit in the corner. We'll
and be quiet.
Just suffer.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that conversation. All right. The government shutdown now, as they move forward, they passed the government funding bill last night in the Senate. That's a big deal. It funds the government now through January 30th. That is correct. And I had that wrong yesterday, and I've been looking into it. I thought that they had to wait for the House to come up with a new bill. This is one of those weird things. Usually the House does have to come up with these bills, but they work out. Don't they have like these, you'd know what the name of it. It's like a skeleton bill that the House passes that's basically empty, that the Senate can then take up and add things to and then put it back to the House. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But one suspects that so it did technically originate in the House, but it didn't have the details that now the Senate has added to it, which includes funding through January 30th. The House will be assembling, I think, by the end of this week. We'll get the details from Susan Ferriccio at 7:35 on this. Wednesday, it looks like, by tomorrow, if everybody can get back. Ironically, getting the House back from recess, everyone's back in their district, getting everybody back in time to vote for this bill might be hampered by the air traffic control issues.
Yes. How lovely.
Fostered. Honestly, when everyone sort of does the postmortem on this and figures out who did the right thing, Speaker Johnson putting the House in recess and sending everyone home and just waiting out the Senate and not, that was one of their biggest complaints. Where's the House? They're on vacation. Where are they? Where are the Republicans? And you knew that annoyed them because as long as everybody's here in D.C., then they all start talking to reporters. They all start getting manipulated by the media, or their Democrat colleagues try to manipulate them, or other, pressure groups here. Everybody went home. They talked to their voters in their district. They kept it real. And the leadership stayed here. And Johnson did not waver, and it drove Schumer crazy that he couldn't pressure him into a backroom deal.
Well, it also was good that some of these Democrats could go home and hear from their constituents, get this done. You're the one holding it up.
Well, if you notice, most of the Democrats didn't go home. They stayed here and made TikTok videos. They turned on their Instagram cameras and walked through the empty, committee rooms and said, "Where are the Republicans? We can't find them anywhere." And they look like idiots.
Yeah.
So that vote happened, and it looks like there's going to be a whole series of votes on Wednesday evening once everybody gets back in to sort of get things back up and running and funded and back to normal. The much of the reflection, though, right now, it's like who won, who lost, and the coping mechanisms that Democrats and their friends in the media have had to put together in the subsequent 36 hours after the vote Sunday night has been really remarkable, where they all know that the Democrats caved. They all know that the Democrats lost this. They all know that they're exactly where they would have been on October 1st if they had taken the original agreement. When Jeffries and Schumer went to the White House 2 days before the shutdown, and they met with President Trump and the Republican leadership, and they walked out. That was when Hakeem Jeffries decided to put on the Frito Bandito mustache and the sombrero. You remember that? Yes. Talking to the press afterwards, because their main priority was to make sure that there was $1.5 trillion of money that we don't have to refund NPR, PBS, and pay for health care for illegal immigrants. At that time, they were offered exactly what they got Sunday night. They were. I know. The entire thing was a waste. Yeah. So the coping mechanisms have been remarkable to witness. But I have to say, in retro, now having 24 hours since yesterday morning to evaluate this, there are two key things that have come from this government shutdown that I think the Democrats weren't expecting. Number one, there was a major focus on the number of illegal immigrants who have been receiving medical assistance from the federal government and money, most of it laundered through their state government. But right. It is very real and it is very tangible, and their efforts basically brought that to light. And it's now a very strong Republican talking point against the Democrats who want to insist on ensuring that illegal – I mean, the best the Democrats have now is, well, you're damn right we want to fund that because otherwise, these people are going to be dying, you heartless bastard. So, right. but at least they're now admitting it. They're now admitting.
Yeah. The other thing that I think was revealed is just how wasteful the SNAP program is.
Oh, yeah.
And because people were putting out these videos saying, I can't get my SNAP benefits, but, they would have these talons, these nails that cost probably $100. Yeah. And actually the woman on CNN, I can't remember her name, Sherry something on CNN, who actually
got her eyebrows done.
She got her eyebrows done. And she was like, women, they're going to have to let women go. They're going to have to fire this, this salon she went to because women, because they're having to spend their money on food because they don't have SNAP.
Right.
They can't get their eyebrows and their nails done. And it's like, wait a minute. Right. Wait a second. I'm wearing 14-year-old shoes and haven't had my nails done. And how long? Because I've got 3 teenagers to feed. Yeah. Right. And just the idea, that's the kind of thing that resonates with Americans who work hard, pay their taxes, and then see their taxes being used like this.
That's right.
Maddening.
There's another thing that was revealed in all of this, and that is the house of cards that is Obamacare. And the conversation yesterday about the fraud associated with Obamacare, and as I said yesterday, the Republicans need to come up with an alternative. That all seems to be falling into place. Senator Roger Marshall, a doctor in the Senate, actually spoke on this yesterday, the fraud as well as his desire to present the Republican alternative. That next, we'll tell you all about it. It's 5:44.
Mark Levin, weekdays 6 till 9 on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
As I mentioned, the house of cards that is Obamacare was revealed through this entire shutdown mess because I think Democrats thought they were playing this game with a Bush. And I respect the Bush family. Don't get me wrong. That's not a criticism of the Bush family. But when Bushes were presidents or when Doles were in charge of the Senate, they handled things in a very different way and in a very gentlemanly way. And to be fair, they come from sort of an old school where they recognize that, big government is big government and they've got bigger fish to fry. This is sort of a new Republican Party, but it's also a new right-of-center media. The Bushes and the Doles of their world didn't, they had one talk radio host, really. They had one cable news station, and even that cable news station was sort of part of the Republican establishment in its own way as well.
Yeah.
And now, because of new media, streaming podcasts, and there's an incentive on the right to actually dive into the facts of these stories and reveal the truth. And I don't think anyone expected that this time around, when the narrative that they wanted to push was people are going to die. Look at Bernie Sanders. He continues to say that we're the richest country in the world. We don't have guaranteed health care. And if you cut the Obamacare subsidies, that means there will be people who will needlessly die. And there have been some really, really good journalists diving into what's going on with Obamacare and revealing, oh, no, that's not the truth at all. In fact, we've been propping this system up. When they keep saying that rates are going to increase, no. The rates have increased. The difference is that in some cases, up to 90% of those premiums have been subsidized by tax dollars.
Yes.
Stealthily. They don't vote. It just
Yes.
happens. It's baked into the cake. And so the American people, the consumer, never sees it.
Right.
And really what it is the federal government, through your tax dollars, money they don't have really, subsidizing big insurance companies. You know how the left hates these insurance companies so much that they celebrate an assassin for murdering their CEO?
Yeah.
It's their party that's enriching those CEOs.
Right.
And propping up
Yes.
the big insurance companies. So at the same time a dirtbag leftist is screaming, don't take away my Obamacare, and at the same time they scream, we hate health insurance companies, they should know that their Obamacare is propping up those insurance companies and enriching them. Because Obamacare is a big insurance company scheme.
And again, the shutdown would not have happened if we didn't need those exact payments to continue.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, without them, the jig is up. We understand this pass through, this transfer of wealth.
Now, and that's on the table now. Now it's time to actually dive into that and fix that problem as well, and it's a good thing. So, Brian Blaze is a researcher for an organization called Paragon Health Institute, and they investigate these things. And by the way, he used to, he's a bona fide researcher. This is an academic. He did advise the first Trump term as well, but his studies are all about the numbers. There is a massive amount, according to Paragon Institute's latest investigation, of what they refer to as improper or phantom enrollment in the Obamacare exchanges. 6.4 million improper enrollees in 2025. 35% of those enrollees have zero claims. So they enroll in the Affordable Care Act. Federal dollars go and pay for those enrollees. Those dollars go to the insurance companies, and yet not one claim is ever filed. Now, people on the left are like, oh, that's how insurance works. You buy it, and then you hope to never use it. No. That's not what this is. See, the enhanced subsidies on the Affordable Care Act created a huge shift. This comes after COVID. The enhanced subsidies came as a result of the pandemic, when everybody was playing the shell game with federal tax dollars and creating things. We got to save people. And they came up with these enhanced subsidies. Enrollees claiming income for a fully subsidized plan who did not have that income, it produced windfall profits for the insurers. And all of these enrollees who claimed their income was at a certain level to get full subsidies to cover it, they never claim anything on their health insurance. 55% of enrollees in federal exchange states claimed income in this very narrow band that suddenly exploded the Affordable Care Act. Yeah. Bloomberg blew the way, and again, I'm reading from Brian Blaze's report here. Bloomberg blew the whistle in June. Expanded ACA subsidies fueled massive schemes of deception. One insider said half of the enrollees didn't even know they were signed up for health insurance. Wow. It's what led to the millions of zero claim and phantom enrollees. They compared people who were eligible from the census with 100 to 150% sign-ups for a free plan, and in 15 states, there's more than double the enrollees as is actually eligible. In 2025, that's 6.4 million improper enrollees. It's a total fraudulent scheme. And Senator Roger Marshall, who is a doctor, took to the floor of the Senate, laid this out yesterday. And then on cable news, he said by December, the Republicans will have their alternative to Obamacare, something that I've been waiting for. And it's going to tighten up all of this garbage. So that is a great result of this. And
that is a great result.
I just hope the Republicans need to pay this off, though. They need to deliver.
They do. And boy, I tell you, I've talked to so many people that are very worried about Republicans not having a plan, not having an alternative, not having a solution, because the midterms are coming and people are very frightened about it. It's affordability and it's health care.
And it's not good. It's funny because it's not good enough for Republicans to say, well, it's all Obama's fault on the Democrats. That was 15 years ago. You lost that fight. Yes, you're right. They broke it. Now you need to be able to help fix it.
Well,
you can't just say they broke it.
The Republicans have been in a position to fix it before.
Right.
And they haven't.
And by the way, you know what else is a tired old talking point? Because I swear to God, I've heard Democrats use this talking point yesterday in debates. Democrats will say, well, Obamacare was Mitt Romney's plan. They're using that old one. They're using that old chestnut. Well, this was Mitt Romney's plan in Massachusetts. That was, Obama just took that plan. That ain't working anymore either, guys. This is where we are, and now it's your job, and it's a hard job, but guess what? You wanted this job. I remember I got all the fundraising emails asking for money so you could be a senator or so you could be a congressman. You wanted this job. It's a tough one, but it's time for Republicans to deliver because we need your help. It's 5:54.